Turner Drink with Matt. Today I'm interviewing and chatting with Kathleen Turner Overdrive from Queensland.
Hey man, how you doing?
Hey guys. Thank you so much. I've just lost you. Wait a sec. Sorry, my device just went on a cleanup. I just wanted to clean up for itself. Okay, how are you anyway?
We are great, thank you very much. We're all very tired. We had a gig last night, but we're feeling that afterglow.
The buzz.
Excellent. Where'd you play last night?
We played at a bar in Ipswich called Banshee's Art Space, Bar and Art Space.
Okay, excellent. Hey, all right, let's start off with where'd the name come from? It's
We used to play in a band back in the early 90s called Mahithabel's Kittens, and we just our own version of indie cover songs or indie songs with our covers, and our drummer, so Liz and I and our drummer sort of branched off once our guitarist left, and we started, we called the band KTO, Kathleen Turner Overdrive, just to play on words. You know, we were all familiar with that, you know, the old rock song, well, I can't remember what it was, by Backman Turner Overdrive.
Yep.
So yeah, we just sort of mucked around with it. And then
And Kathleen Turner was the hit girl at the time.
yeah.
It was like 1992.
Yeah. So that's kind of where it came from, just to play on words. And then we mucked around that for about 12 months, and then we all went our separate ways. And we got back together with Mel briefly a couple of years ago. She was our drummer, and just sort of brought it back to life. And then found out that there's a bunch of other bands called Kathleen Turner Overdrive around the world as well.
And that's because of the movie High Fidelity, where Jack Black talks about calling his band Kathleen Turner Overdrive. So
yes. Yep. So I haven't interviewed many Queensland bands, to be quite honest. What is it? What's the scene like up there?
Oh,
Better on the coast.
yeah.
better in Brisbane, better in the big cities.
Much better in Brisbane, yeah. We're in Toowoomba, and I don't know if you're familiar with Toowoomba, but its music scene sort of kind of ebbs and flows, and at the moment it's a bit of an ebb, and mostly covers bands, and very few original bands, and you know, dare I say, very few good original bands. So playing in Brizzy and you know, we haven't played the Goldie yet, but Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast are probably the places where you've got better venues, and certainly there's a ton of bands in Brizzy. Yeah.
So I tried to do a bit of research. How long have you guys been going for?
well, in this current lineup, which is our firm lineup, 2 years, all of us, and about 7 years, right, isn't it?
Yeah,
2 years with Dan, our drummer, and then about 7-ish years.
It didn't really be that long.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
with us three. Yeah, but we're all firm now, so this is the lineup forever.
Excellent. Do you, I lived up in Queensland for a while. Did you ever go to the playroom?
I did.
Yep.
Yeah, I never went.
Yeah,
No.
and I have forgotten everything about the 80s. It's hilarious. My friends tell me things that we went to, like for example, my friend's band called Dance Theatre supported the Eurythmics, and I went to that gig, and I was backstage at that gig. I don't remember anything about that gig, and I only learned that I went to that gig because at a reunion, some friends were saying, "Oh, there's photos of you there, Lizzie." So yes, playroom. The patch, you bring that up sometimes in your interview. It was like
The patch.
oh, I remember that. Yeah.
I remember dollar drinks. That's what I can remember. Dollar drinks at the playroom till about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Dollar drinks.
Get in a taxi and go all the way to the patch, and that'd be dollar drinks till 6 o'clock.
So I had forgotten that was a part of my youth as well, doing that. We'd go to the playroom and see a band and then off you go. And every now and then friends would work at the patch, so it'd be even $0 drinks.
Yeah, definitely. So like I've been checking out your music and everything, and it's what are your influences? Like, because it's like way up there. It sounds like this, or it sounds like but that's like the music changes a lot. I've noticed. What are the influences you guys?
Oh, it's well, I mean, that's how long's a piece of string, you know. There's four of us, so it's what's influenced us all individually, and you know, I can't speak for the boys, so
we're all different backgrounds.
And I mean, we're all different, like, you know, Lizzie and I are all, and Ads and Danny, so you know, we've got influences back to, you know, I mean, when I was a kid, listening to my dad's music, like, you know, the Beatles and the Stones and a lot of that Merseyside stuff, and then you get that's where you get, for me, a lot of that sort of melody and song structure, and then you know, as a teenager, listening to lots of metal, like, you know, lots of Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath, and then discovering punk, you know, and just, you know, and that was like, wow, this is a treasure trove of, you know, stuff. And so, like, mostly the for me, the UK punk stuff, you know, the Pistols and the Clash and the Buzzcocks, and then getting into some of the more American stuff, like, you know, Henry Rollins, Black Flag and Fugazi, and just thinking, wow, you know, these, and then stuff like, you know, The Cure, which was part of that era, but, you know, golf was a whole different scene again, and Joy Division.
There's some bands that we love as well. So
yes,
we do.
They do. Oh, okay, I'm speaking to them. They do like them.
Yeah. When we're having
These are the bands you like.
when we're having a throwback Thursday.
yeah, definitely.
There's some bands.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is a better way, I think, to find out about the influences. Say, this is a question for each person. Say you're all going to have an answer. You've got the job of putting out a 5-band gig. Who would those 5 bands be?
The Clash.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
I'd have to choose the Sex Pistols. Like, yeah, I'd love to have some fun with that.
For me, it's going to be Primus.
Okay, yeah, that's come up a lot. That's come up.
I'm going to go an Aussie band and say Radio Birdman.
And I'm going to end it with somebody who's contemporary, who I am in love with at the moment, and that's Hamel and the Sniffers.
Okay, yeah.
So I'd have put us on the bill.
and then that's it. Yeah.
Well, that's the 5th band then.
Yeah.
Special.
That's the 5th band. Okay, this is another one for each of you. What's on the stereo at the moment at home?
Hamel and the Sniffers.
Aren't they doing well? They're like, these guys are so, and they are so proud, and like they're just like the world tour. Everyone's loving them. I've not seen any footage of them playing, and to like not much of a crowd.
That's
Like
going off too. The crowd is really feeling their vibe and the energy. Yeah.
Definitely.
Back to basics rock and roll. Like, when I listen to them, I don't even really think of them as punk. I just think, you know, they're really good, high energy, basic rock and roll band. Like, I don't know the names of any other guys in the band, but I watch the guitar player, and he's just going off, you know. But all of them, and they're just, I find they're really tight. They just, I love some of their songs are so bizarre. So, some of the lyrics are really.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of bizarre, one that I've been throwing on a lot at the moment is the Peak Temple. I think they're either Sydney or Melbourneites, and just how rough and raw they are. They just, I don't know, they let you get some emotion out in just roughly singing their songs. Vicky Butcher and Carol, they're obviously very personal songs because they throw on those people's names in there, and I don't know, bit of swearing, bit of noise.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I kind of spent, I think it was 1980 to 88 in Queensland, and and this was during the JB Occupation, and I love the references that you have with your good old Jay. Remember he I don't know if you guys remember this, but when his son got done for marijuana plants, and he got off it, he's saying that he thought they were tomato.
Oh, yes,
yes.
yes, I do remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
And I think that's because Jay was in bed with Russ Hins. I
Mm.
think that's the only reason why he got off.
Sure.
Yeah.
Remember, you remember back then when he was grilled in an interview about his understanding of the separation of powers, and you know, the separation of the judiciary, the police force, and the parliament, and he didn't have any idea of what that concept was. You know, he literally didn't know what the separation of powers was. Maybe, I mean, his own ends anyway, so I'm sure some of the boys gotten off because they were just saying, well, I own the government, so I'll do what I want.
Yeah. The thing with him, Bart, was everyone complained year after year after year after year. Everyone complained about him, but he was still voted in every year. He was still voted in. I can't even think of how many years he was premier for, but everyone complained. There was complaint after complaint after complaint, yet he always made it in.
Yeah, I think the mix. Yeah, but I think like the mix of the conservative political values in Queensland, and then you know the gerrymander in the political system, then really that was what got him across the line every time. You know, you've got huge geographical electorates with small numbers of voters, but they're given the same preference electorate. So yeah, it was always weighted in his favour.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up a young punk in Brisbane in those 80s years when Joe was around, and it was really hostile, a really hostile environment to be different in. People, you know, white bread pedestrian people felt really empowered to be cruel to young people who were being different. And we would go to gigs and police would literally show up and shut the gigs down and drag off the boys. The boys I was going with lovely 16-year-old skinny, scrawny boys with their little punk t-shirts and their black jeans would get bashed up and dragged off in the paddy wagons. But doing that, being different. Yeah.
Totally remember that. I remember going to see, I think it was 86, 87. It was the Stupids, the Hard-Ons, and the Bad Ronalds.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I think it was, I think the Stupids had just finished playing, and that exact thing happened. Yeah, it was like that.
Scary. It was a scary time to be a young punk in Brisbane. You were always looking over your shoulder, and if you saw a paddy wagon coming or the union cops were around you, hightailed it. Especially if you were sitting in the rotunda in the mall. I can remember if you saw them coming, you'd up and you'd be gone.
Yeah, because I was a punk in Brisbane for a while in the early 80s, mid 80s, and we all used to sit in the mall around opposite Art McDonald's, I think, or Hungry Jack's, one of them. And we were sitting there just minding our own business, and there was a bunch of yuppies drunk, acting like a bunch of dickheads, yet we were the one that got hassled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'd walk past these dudes with little blonde flat tops and walk up to us, and it was just like, you know, no, you can't be here. You can't be here. Like what? You know, I think Canberra and Queensland really got it fucking hard, to be quite honest, with the pub. It's like you were definitely branded. You were definitely branded, and it was sad. But it was good because it made a lot of the Queensland punk band, it gave them that oomph to go out there and say, oh, fuck this, we're going to rock. We're just going to.
Saints were really at the forefront of that. They were giving Joe the finger with their music and their attitude. Oh, those were the days.
Yep, definitely. Okay, first of all, what would your best gig have been that you've played? What's the best?
Oh shit! Last night was pretty good.
We played with a band that we love called Crave. They're an old metal band and an up and coming band. Actually, it was their first gig. A band called Pitch Kruger and the Slippery Eels, and they were a 3-piece, and it was just a great vibe,
They
great
were
energy.
fucking heavy.
They remind me a lot of the Drones. Like they have this real attitude about them. Like,
Very, very Tool, I guess, but like right on a line of cocaine style. If Tool was like that, I guess.
Yep.
And just the format too, like just drum and bass, no guitar.
Drum
and
bass,
biggest
is heavy distortion on that bass guitar, and like the real when I put it at the echo at the start, and I'm like, oh, there's supposed to be a lot of echo once they started playing, and just old mate's vocal style and all that sort of stuff. Like I've heard a lot of that in bands like Mastodon, where it's real drony, real long notes, and just sort of I guess like repetitive lines and whatnot, but they
like the
resonate.
Cramps. It was very much like the Cramps singing. Like it was.
Yeah, well, and sort of I heard, sort of American hardcore, like Black Flag and Circle Jokes in there, and then the performance style was a lot like Iggy Pop. I'd say just shirtless and jeans. I thought he was feel if it was. So they were fantastic. They'd be great fun to play with again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so last night it was great. We were in the Afterglow.
Yeah.
Excellent. What is the worst gig that you've ever had to be involved in?
Well, we've had a few shitty gigs with terrible sound where I literally have not been able to hear guitar or bass at all. And I've had to go off Dan.
Which isn't a good idea sometimes.
He's had a few of these. It's not a good idea. So they're the terrifying ones. And we've had a couple of those, which has been really annoying. You get asked to play a gig and then they give a shit sound. But I can't actually name names when that's happened, but it has happened.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with sound techs. They can make you sound good or they can make you sound bad, can't they?
Yeah.
It depends. I don't know. Well, most venues have their own sound techs, don't they?
Yeah. And which is fair enough because they're going to be ones who are going to know the room generally, like hopefully, as being an in-house sound guy, they should know their equipment for one, the room for the other.
Yeah, the acoustics in the room are hugely important.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that's where a few bands go wrong, where they decide, no, we'll bring our own, and then they don't know the room. So then, the sound sounds like shit anyway. So.
Okay, so
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
on that subject, what is the band that you would love to support? The band, like, is probably a different answer per person, but like, who would you really like to support?
Well, personally, as far as our style goes, I'm pretty fresh as far as punk goes. I was working with a bloke there for a while, Ben Riley, and he's really into his punk gigs. Like he followed the Chats. I think he saw about 20 different Chats gigs in 1 year or something like that. And he got me into furthering my love for the flanger panels. The flanger panels just been just brutal in there, more so the lyricism. Very great vocals. I remember hearing them first when I think the song was "My Period Is Late," and the video clip for it, like Like it was a video clip that would make you sick. Like it was that great and that disgusting at the same time. But it was just like, oh, old mate spits a tampon out his mouth and then he sucks it back up like a bit of spaghetti. And it's just like, so I reckon, yeah, getting on with that would be pretty fun.
I agree.
Yeah, and I love Being Jane Lane. That's another Brisbane band that I absolutely love, and they're always on my. So I'd love to play with them.
And Smoky Martha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard these guys. Yeah, Brisbane band.
Yeah. I'd love to play with 6 Foot Hick.
Oh,
Yeah. They're a Brisbane band, and so fronted by 2 brothers, Jeff and Ben Corbett, and they only get together every now and then now, but they have the most insane live show. Like they're both real live wires, and you know they're doing this whole Jim Morrison oozing sort of sex appeal thing, but then Ben will be like, fucking monkey. Oh yeah, he bashes himself in the face. He does the whole Iggy Pop thing. But then he's like anything that he can climb on. He's up in the fucking rafters. We saw them at the zoo a couple of years ago, and they must have taken it ceiling paneling. But anyway, they just had all of the rafters, and he was up there. But so was the chick. And just amazing shows to watch. So much energy, and because these 2 guys feed off each other too, like as brothers and performers. And they do have this dual vocal style, like Fugazi, but yeah.
Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
And they seem to just have 2
Yeah,
singers going.
2 lead singers at the same
whole
time. Yeah, bouncing off each other constantly. So I would absolutely love to play with them.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
also getting into the Owen Guns, thanks to you.
Aren't they great?
Oh, it must
They
Nate, the reprobates.
Because of you, we've got into them as well.
Yeah. That fucking
Yeah.
everyone song was fucking great.
actually interviewed the Master Nate twice. They were the first interview I ever did.
Yeah.
It went for 4.5, nearly 5 hours. The interview. We
Well, they can talk, those boys.
Yeah.
had to knock it down to, I think it was about an hour and a half, Jeff. We had my producer, he had to edit it down to like, and we were talking about football, Australian football, politics, and these guys, like it was 6 a.m. for these guys when we finished, and they're actually coming over. I've done a bit of a lot of work really to get them over here because they are brilliant. Like I don't know if you've ever watched one of my interviews?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got heaps.
Yeah.
They're the Master Nate and the Reprobates are the ones that wrote the song for the show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, they were great. But yeah, the talking about the interviews, you guys played with Radio Rejects.
No.
No.
No? Okay. Oh,
Maybe.
You set that up for us if you like that thing.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, no, because I do 2 interviews a day every Saturday, and that's the next band.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a bit confused then. But yeah, no,
Drop our name with them. We'll be up
Yeah.
there.
they're great. Like, and I think everything that's happening at the moment in Australian punk is fucking excellent. Like the Radio Rejects, the times I've seen them, they bring their kids up on stage and everything, and we're talking like under the age of 10 kind of thing, and they do backup vocals in one of the songs, and yeah, it's great.
Cool little gimmick.
Okay, so what's happening next with KTO? What do you guys got in planned?
We're a bit excited about some things that are coming up. We're going into pre-production next month with Steve James. Is that name familiar to you, Steve James?
No.
Well, he is a really well-known music producer. He worked with the Sex Pistols back in the day, with the Jam, Kamal, there's one, he worked with Kamal, Shirley Bassett, Modern Ones, boys.
Like Screaming Jets and
Yeah.
I think maybe Cold Chisel, but yeah, he's done worked with a lot of big Aussie, you know, big name rock bands. Yeah, so that's really exciting.
So we're really honoured to have made that connection with him, and so we're going to be doing that next month. And we've got some more shows coming up. Aidan has organised a punk festival.
Oh yeah, October 22nd. I think they're still working on a bill, but yeah, got in contact with the I don't even know if it's a woman or a man. It's just CDJ or CDJ.
I'll be too much work. Yes, so that's coming up. So we're looking forward to that. And yeah, we're just going to throw our tentacles out there and get ourselves some more gigs because we're roaring to go.
Definitely. I've actually, I'm 3/4 of the way into organising a benefit gig in Wollongong, 15 bands each day, Saturday and Sunday. It was going to be Rock Against Water, and it was a benefit for those who were flooded. But there are so much benefits out there that are paying for that. So I've decided to make it Rock Against War and a benefit for Ukraine.
Yeah,
and
that's nice.
I'd love you guys to be on this, man. It would be great. I'm trying to get. I'm picking New South Wales. I'm picking 10 bands out of the 30. And then I want the other 20 bands to be from Melbourne, South Australia, Queensland, and like it's going to be. I know it's a big ask to come up or come down as you guys are for a 25-minute set.
Yeah.
But you know,
That's it, yeah.
An adventure.
It's an experience. It'll be our. At this point, it would be our first.
State.
First interstate. Yeah, that's for sure.
But it's the other thing is like, you know, you meet so many people, you make new friends, you form new relationships, you know, and you have to be honest too about, you know, you love what you do, but you also need to have connections. You have a network, you know, it's in everyone's best interests. And the best way that happens is when you meet people and you go, wow, I really dig what you do, and people respond to the same, and they say, you know, after a set, they come up and they tell you, you know, you guys are fucking shit hot, or what a great set, or great songs, and then bang, you've got an instant connection. And I think those things really justify, you know, okay, well, I've never been to Wollongong. I'll meet a whole bunch of new bands, a new bunch of contacts, new friends, and have a shit hot experience, and you know, play a great set. So yeah, absolutely. Put us down.
That's what this show's all about, really, because it's not going to get. Well, my daughter said a couple of weeks ago, she goes, "Dad, you know you're not going to make any money off this." And I said, "Yeah, I know that. I'm not going to. This show won't go viral, but I'm doing. That's why I put the show together, so I can get bands to hear of other bands, and you know, and for the punters to go, wow, I've never heard of these guys that sound great, want to get them. You know, I'm not gonna go anywhere with the show, but I just love, because the 90s, I hated the 90s punk scene in Australia. I really hated it. Like, I grew up with the 80s punk scene. Brilliant. It was amazing. The 90s was shit. Since 2000s, it's been great. The 2000s, the bands that I've interviewed and I've learned, like I've seen on the punk sites and everything, and I just want everyone to like meet each other. Like, as Lizzie, you were saying before, I love the Allen Guns. You know, the interview you did with them. And like it's a way of connecting, I think, each other. Like you've got the opportunity to say, "Wow, loved your interview. Like, would love you to come to Queensland and play, or would love you." You know what I'm saying? It's just.
Well, it's funny you say that because I've really enjoyed watching the videos, and it's really broadened my perspective on the punk bands that are out there. And just a side note, I'm from Newcastle, and Newcastle is the punk capital of Australia, I've got to say. All the great bands that are coming out of Newcastle, so proud Nova Scotia here. But anyway, I have been really enthused by watching the videos and have reached out and just said, saw your video, loved it, whatever, you know, and just made a connection with them. And it's been great. And that's because I've seen those videos that you've done with them.
That is excellent. That really makes me happy. What was it that made, this is another one for each of you, what was it that made you go that I want to play music, I want to get up on stage, I want to play music, I want to be an entertainer? When did that happen with each year?
Yeah, I can start. I mean, I guess for me, it's always been something that was a release and an outlet for myself in my own life. And I mean, I think everyone that plays music and loves to perform are just natural born performers, and there's no way that I can't perform, if that makes sense, because I like to entertain. I like to, you know, share every one of my passions that I like to do behind my instrument to everyone else. So, I mean, it's always started at a young age when, you know, you listen to music and you watch bands on TV, you know what I mean? And you just, I want to be like that. I want to do that. Like, and I think that's where it started for me. It's been a great experience. So.
Definitely.
I guess for myself, my family on my mother's side has got a lot of musicianness to them. My grandparents, actually, my grandfather, I think he had a bit of a diddle there with Slim Dusty for a while. Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah,
I was thinking you were a diddle, but anyway.
Yeah. No, you know what sort of diddle I mean. Anyway, yeah, he met him and all that sort of stuff. Like, I've seen photos of my grandfather with Slim Dusty, and I think he's played in the likes of like Troy Casanelli, all those sorts of, you know, the older country generation, I guess. The three of my uncles, same deal. My mum's older brothers. My eldest uncle, he plays in a lot of 60s, 70s, 80s groups, just doing cover shows and stuff at like almost near retirement village style places, like, you know, the golf clubs and all that sort of stuff. Then my next oldest uncle, he took more after my grandfather, playing the Slim Dusties and all that sort of stuff. Same deal, playing it for people. And then my youngest uncle, actually, he was more into the Iron Maidens. He used to play in a Toowoomba metal group called the Stone Lords.
Oh yeah.
Way back in the day.
That was great.
And hurt my neck many a time to them.
Yeah, and along with like my cousin that I played with in a rock covers band, he was the same. His old singer used to sing for the Stone Lords, and it was all a bit of a conglomerate around Toowoomba. And yeah, one day I inherited one of my grandmother's guitars, and yes, I said grandmother. She had one too. They used to sing and play together and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I strummed along, and I think after that I got swapped out for an Echo guitar, EKO, really old thing. Looked like something that Roy Orbison would play, like blue, metallic, sparkly thing with all your dials and all that sort of stuff.
It's a record.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And yeah, from that I started mucking around with that, you know, turning the little clean PV amp up as far as I could to get some gain out of it. And one day Dad showed me Rammstein, and then Rammstein actually kicked my own music passion off, I guess.
Yep.
And that was it. Basically, from there, ruined some bridges on some guitars by tuning down and tuning up when you shouldn't. And, you know, yeah, went from there. I think it was.
Excellent.
What was the question again, Matt?
Um,
What got you into music, basically?
To be a performer.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It was.
the question, Lizzie, is did you stand in front of the mirror with a hairbrush?
Well, funny you should say that. I grew up without any siblings, so the radio was my companion, and I got one of those little transistors back in the day that had a single ear thing so that I could listen to the radio. And one day though, I was in the kitchen and my adopted father was listening to the races, so you had to be very quiet, but they played songs in between, and suddenly this song came on, and it was the Sex Pistols, and my life was never the same again. I was year 7, I think, at the time, and I just stopped what I was doing. I didn't know what this music was. I didn't know it was a genre of punk. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew I loved it, and from there on, I was attracted to that, and seeing on television and hearing on the radio Chrissy Amphlett and Blondie, and later on Susie Sue, and the Pretenders, and I just wanted to be like them, basically.
Yep.
Music was my companion, and it was always on my radar.
Yeah. I think Chrissy Amphlett paved the way for punk female singing.
Definitely. Her attitude, the way she presented herself, the voice, just that energy and that power, really, and her angst. And
Yep.
bring it fun. I'll do what I want. I'll wear what I want.
Yeah.
Sorry, we lost you.
No, I saw an old interview with Chrissy not long ago, and she was saying that for the first, I think, 2 years that the Divinals were together, she stood behind the drummer.
I read her autobiography, and she said that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really shy and.
Just servicing these gentlemen's beverage requirements.
Yeah.
So for me, again, putting on old sort of 60s records at home on the record player and singing along with them, and Countdown, and there was some Saturday morning music shows too back when I was a kid that I can't remember what they were called, but you'd just be like being really, really attracted to the idea of, love to do this. I remember as a kid, I saw this group of kids on a Pot of Gold. You remember Pot of Gold?
What was his name?
Bernard King.
Bernard King.
Yeah, and hey, like the original Simon Cowell, but even more vicious. And he had this young band on, and they were doing Pretty Vacant by Sex Pistols, and they did a great little job of it. And he just kind of pulled them apart and told them that they were rubbish. And I thought, no, fuck you, they were great. And that was kind of something that's always stuck in my mind. Seeing film clips of bands like Jam and Stranglers, and thinking, and especially primarily as a bass player, seeing guys like Bruce Foxton and JJ Burnell and even the early iteration of the Sex Pistols with Glenn Matlock, and watching these incredible performances and really angsty but melodic and great musicianship, and thinking, man, I'd really love to do that. And then one day walking past the mop shop in town and seeing a bass and going, no, fucking, I'm going to buy it, and that's it. And then jamming with friends and going from there. And I've always been in love with it. I think we've all, that's the sort of driving force, just getting out there and having fun and putting a good show for people.
Can I be ignorant for a minute? Has Glenn Matlock done anything since the Pistols?
Over that whole period, I don't know. I think he was in a band after the Pistols, because all
I
that.
think he's playing now with Blondie.
Is he?
Yeah, she's doing some tours now. And I think he's, I think I've seen that.
I'd see that.
Yeah, we
I'd
do.
see that.
Yeah, he did a project post Pistols with Sid Vicious and some other, like, so they were all kind of interconnected, and I think they were called the Rich Kids or something like that.
Okay.
And yeah, like a mini punk supergroup that didn't do anything. But I don't know other than that. He was a great bass player. I really loved him.
He was a hunk too.
Yeah, no problem.
I thought, when we
Oh.
saw the Sex Pistols in '96, I thought he was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just side note.
Yeah.
Speaking of him playing with Blondie at the moment, I remember, and speaking of the Patch, actually, I remember seeing Iggy Pop live at the Patch, and the support band was the Vampire Lovers.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And we ended up, like, I used to be a bad groupie, and I'd kind of like, I'd go to a gig and I'd see the band like grabbing the shit out of the car, and I go, "Oh, do you need a hand, guys?" And I always try to put myself into that little groupie shit. Anyway, I ended up going back to the after party of the Iggy Pop gig, and the reason I brought this up is actually not even the party. It was Steve Jones was on guitar for Iggy Pop, and it was like, yeah, it was amazing. I just had to bring that up. Sorry about that. Have you lost me because my phone?
Oh, you're back. You good?
I'm right. Here we go.
No, I do absolutely love Iggy Pop. Always love Iggy Pop. But Aiden's got a great story about Iggy Pop. Anyway, he's a great band too.
I actually got a bit of hate against Iggy Pop.
Not hate.
No,
Strong
just
words.
a bit of hate. And every time a song comes on, I always think of the moment, unfortunately. So there was a big day out, and Rammstein was the headliner, which, as I say, started off. Rammstein was the band that started me going, and I was excited to see them. And Iggy Pop just decided to play Let's Dance with Iggy Pop at the end, and it went for about 10 minutes over, and all us on the side of the Rammstein stage were just sitting there going, "Fuck off." He decided, and I think he started hearing that, and then got a bunch of people up on stage just to let it go further. And I was just like, "Oh, get off the stage! I want to see Rammstein."
What were they like? What was Rammstein like?
Oh, fucking brilliant! They obviously, like, they don't come to Australia a lot. I think, well, mainly because Australia is a fire hazard in itself, and they like to play with a lot of fire.
Yeah.
That said, they still managed to do a lot of pyrotechnics and all that sort of stuff. Their sound is always, like, it was just phenomenal. I can't find a video or anything of a live show that sounds as good, except for, I think, one that I listened to years ago was Volcable, and I think that was live in Nimes in France, and it was one of their best live DVDs that I ever watched, and I haven't heard them that good since. And just to add to the Iggy Pop hate, they did the same thing to Foo Fighters one year, and it happened to my mother. My mother was there seeing Foo Fighters, and Iggy Pop overthrew his show, and yeah, and it happened to me, and I'm just like, oh, why? Why me as well? But that's, yeah.
The curse. The curse of
That's,
Iggy.
yeah.
He can do what he wants.
I understand the whole going over your times, but, you know, it was personal.
You can see there's a deep wedge in the band. Deep divide.
Yeah. Okay, so I've asked you what made you want to be in a band. The next one is, have you ever had that moment where you've gone, fuck it, this is not for me. I'm not, no.
Not in this band.
Ever.
Yeah, never.
We had a review last night. A gentleman who does reviews came to our gig, and one of the things, I know, it was amazing.
Jade even read through the whole thing.
Yeah, I actually got teary when I read this review because I felt that he really saw who we were. And he essentially said in one of his paragraphs that it was clear that the members of this band enjoy playing with each other and that there's a real synchronicity and that and that we, you know, we cue each other and we help each other along if something happens. But that essentially he saw that we really dig playing with each other, that it lifts us, that we enjoy it so much. So yeah, so not in this band.
Excellent. Excellent.
I think we've all probably played in bands where you go,
Oh yeah.
this is a floundering fish, and I need to I need to get out. But yeah, no, this is just too much fun.
Yeah, definitely. I tried to do the whole band thing, and then I realised I've got no fucking talent. It's just not for me. So yeah, so I became one of those people that I became just had to be at a gig and do my best to get involved in one way or another, like get up on stage and do something stupid, or like I always wanted to do that entertainer thing, but there was just like yeah, no talent at all. Like I don't, and even in bands where you don't need to know how to sing, I fucking have I can't even sing badly. It's just fucking.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're gonna have that uncomfortable silence. No, that was, no, that's okay.
Slight pause.
But yeah, there we go. That's a nice way to put it. I haven't heard it be called that before.
I made it up just then.
Yeah, polite pause.
Ever supported or headlined with a band that you thought, like, why did we even get put on the same bill?
Not yet.
Those were still, you know, we played for a couple of years, still too
Too early on to sort
yeah.
of tell, I guess.
We've been really casual with how we've done it. Like I think we played 4 gigs last year. You know, we haven't really had that direction. But since we've released the EP, we're really excited to get out there now, and we're writing more, and we're networking with people, and we're making connections, and so more people are asking us to play, and we're excited to play, and we want to just broaden our horizon. So I guess that question, if you ask it in 2 years' time, we'll be able to answer it.
I can answer it.
Go.
I can answer it. We did a show up at the Sunny Coast last year, and we played with 2 bands. One was I'll drop one name because we like playing with them, and that's a young band called Violet, and a great kind of 90s grunge sound. And then
Riot Girl kind of thing.
Headlining band, so to speak, was their show, this fucking covers band, and they were terrible.
Yeah.
But I mean, they were digging what they were doing.
Yeah. No, I remember
Yeah.
now.
Send stuff.
Well, I'm not going to drop any names.
No.
But they,
I can't remember their name.
they were not memorable at all.
Sort of how important it was.
But
I know.
apart, you there was this sense of arrogance, I think, too, that came across for me.
I got that.
And it was a mismatch in terms of our styles, 100%. But it was also these guys, you know, like local heroes, and they believe it. You know, like we're the fucking local heroes. You know, it's like, no, you're not. It's fucking covers band. Yeah. You know. And that was a mismatch for absolutely sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like there was a last weekend there was a festival up in Sydney called the Folk Festival. It was a folk festival, and 10 of the bands were punk. Like the Owen Guns played at this festival, and I'm thinking, oh my God, like you've got the Owen Guns playing on, like I don't know, it went over the weekend. I don't know, because they had a section of bands and then a section of bands, and the Sunday, I think, or I don't know if they were mixed or not, but there was punk and folk bands playing on the same gig under the premises of a folk festival, and I thought, wow, like crazy shit. These like, who are the punters? You know, these guys here for the punk, or are these guys here for the folk, or is it a good mix?
Did you go? Did you go to it?
No, I don't. I've got 8 kids. I don't get to go to many festivals.
That
I
is
get, I get to see bands play, but I don't get to do the festival thing. And yeah, there's been a lot of them. Queensland, I used to love the scene in Queensland, and then in the 80s, like it was Queensland, New South Wales and Melbourne were bringing out some fucking amazing shit. But I think Sydney at the moment, the punk scene is just, it's so much different to any other state. I think like you've got, like as the Radio Rejects, that like they bring the kids up on. A lot of the bands I've interviewed are in their 50s, like they're my age, and it's like, whoa, these guys are still getting up and playing like fucking rock. And I could be wrong, like I haven't seen much of the Queensland scene lately. I've watched like on YouTube and that a lot of Queensland bands that are in the scene, but yeah.
That's the same thing that we're finding, that there are older bands, which is really great for Mark and I because we're old. We played with a band recently called the Glycerines. Shout out to them. Bubblegum kind of punk kind of thing they've got happening. They're excellent. But when we go to the zoo, for example, there's always a band full of folk who are over 40, 50. And I think it's
And crowds too.
Yeah, and the crowds too. Actually, for one of my birthdays, a major birthday, which I won't say what it was, we went to the zoo and I literally felt like it was the 80s. I was surrounded by people who were my age and older. The whole place was full of people my age and older.
Yep.
That's got to mean something, to show something. And on the stage, there were similarly aged people.
Even
so
last night, most people that were there were probably over the age of 35.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a real generational thing. Like my parents never went out. They didn't even play records. You know, it's so different now. Our generation has changed the way parents parent, I guess, and what they do with themselves in their.
Well, my dad was a bad alcoholic, and my mum loved music, so we went to a lot of festival kind of things, family day outs, things like Narara. When I was like 7, we went to a family day out thing at Circular Quay in Sydney on the harbour, and they had this raft out on the harbour. Like to get to it, the band had to get on a little boat and go out to the stage. It was on Sydney Harbour. And it was John Paul. Actually, the first band, I was only like 8 or 9 at this stage. The first band was Ted Mowry Gang.
I've met Ted Mowry. Yeah. I've met him.
Here we go. You've met him. I was just speaking, had an interview with the band last week, and the singer, she said to me, she goes, "Oh, I've got a photo of me as a baby dribbling down Doc Neeson's on a plane, and so you've met Ted."
Yeah, I met Ted in the 80s at the Sunnybank Hotel in Brisbane. It was their dying days. They were just doing their last days tours, and I had an album of theirs. And as we were leaving, my girlfriend and I said, "Oh, I wish I'd brought that album, that double album that I have of Ted Mowry." And suddenly, this little English voice appears at my shoulder. "We never did a double album." And I went, "But I've got one at home." And he goes, no, it's a single album. It's just opens up. And I went, "Oh, okay, there you go." And so then we had a lovely chat with him, and he was friendly and funny, and talked to him for about half an hour, I think.
Oh, you can tell he's got a great sense of humor. Like you listen to his lyrics. Yeah, you can tell you. But yeah, this gig at the Sydney Harbour, it was Tim Murray Gang, AC/DC, Bon Scott's AC/DC. I can't remember if they were last or John Paul Young were last, but as I said, I was only like 8 or 9 years old at this stage, and it was like that was my I thought, nah, I love music now. Like I just thought that the whole thing, and I was only 8 years old. At that age, I was listening to, I can't remember, 2SM or something. We're doing the top 40 every Sunday, and they'd have the top 40 songs. And that's what got me. Yeah, I thought, nah. After being at that gig, I thought, magic. And the one before that was I think it was at Eastern Creek, and it was Rose Tattoo, The Angels, The Divinals, Split Ends, kind of thing. Yeah, and that was only because my parents, Dad liked drinking, so he'd go, let's go, yeah, there'll be heaps pissed. And Mum loved music, so we used to always do that sort of stuff. Anyway, enough about me.
That's all right. The old Soundwave and Big Day Out festivals were always a family outing for myself as well. Because my dad was, like I say, Mum was into the Foo Fighters and she loved all those sorts of bands, getting into the Queens of the Stone Age, or stoner rock, shit like that. And then Dad was more the metal stuff. So once a Soundwave festival come around and my sister was to go, it would be all 5 of us, my parents, my younger brother, and my younger sister, and yeah, there was a good, I think, 3 years in a row where we all made it there. So, and sure, I mean, we all had our other different bands that us younger ones would like to go and see, and Mum and Dad weren't so into them; they would not go into the mosh pits and stuff like that. And you know, you get divided, but at the end of the day, it's just like, oh, what'd you see? What'd you reckon? And all that sort of stuff. So yeah, no, I totally get it.
Good times.
No.
Definitely. Guys, what's your worst gig that you've ever been to? Not played, been to.
There was a local one that I can't say the name of.
And you're going to say, I
Did a pub that has a cover band?
Yeah, I generally just don't go to gigs where I don't think I'll enjoy myself.
Yeah.
I'm Blake.
That's a good.
That's a hard
That's
one.
one of those things where you know you go to so many and.
I don't want to get you guys in trouble here.
Oh no, we
no,
wouldn't drop names. That's hard. Like most gigs, you know, if it's original bands, I mean, usually you only go to see a band you like anyway.
Yeah.
Or you just happen to be somewhere and you go and see someone, and I think it would be in that circumstance where you go to see someone that you really love, and for whatever reason they let you down, like they just don't play up to your expectations. But like, or you go and see someone randomly and you go, oh yeah, that was shit. But I just can't think of a band that I've seen where I've gone, wow, that was really, really awful.
I think that you're really excited to see, and then you
Yeah.
saw it and like, oh no, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one as far as I guess when it comes down to expectations, same deal. It was at a Soundwave. Actually, I've got a feeling it was their 10th year anniversary one where they had. Oh no, that was Metallica, Maiden, and all that.
Yes.
The one with Slipknot and where System of a Down actually got back together for the festival, and Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson's
At
like
that show too.
yeah,
Yes,
like
yes.
it wasn't. It was one of those things where just because the sort of artist that he is and the way he lives his life and all that sort of stuff. When I saw that it was bad, I kind of expected it, if you know what I mean. Like, I think there was a good few times, like I was at the right angle, pretty close to the front, and you could see him sort of going to the side, puffing a bit of oxygen because he's starting to struggle, and then come back out, and then he tells the stories and whatnot of like all the rumors, like the ribs thing and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, look.
What did he say about the ribs? No, not true.
Hey. Oh no, he didn't confirm nor deny. he just sort of went, oh yeah, and then there were stories going around where I removed my rib, all that sort of stuff, and I don't remember. I don't know if it was just because I was having too much fun, but I don't really remember him confirming or denying it at all. It's just like whatever. He told the story. It's one of those things that you hear, so it was, it all matches up, and you're like, oh yeah, cool, all right. But yeah, past that, it was just like, it went terrible with expectation.
Yeah.
You had low expectations already.
Yeah. That like that's
your icon.
like, I mean, he come out and he had a bit of a gut on, and you're like, oh yeah, he must be going through a bit of a downward sort of bit at the moment. It's bound to happen. It's the whole rock star thing, and through the eras and all the stuff that he went through. It's kind of like, oh yeah, fair enough. It's the same as when I saw Ozzy Osbourne. Like, he's obviously old as fuck. Not necessarily off his guts, but not really on his guts either. And you just knew that he wasn't really going to do much performing because he's getting there.
Yeah, definitely.
It was still a great show watching, Tony Iommi and Geezer and all them rock their hearts out. But he'd sort of go, put your hands up. He'd take the microphone off the stand, do a little 2-meter diameter circle, and then put the microphone back on. And that's enough for him.
Going back to Marilyn Manson, I remember seeing him at the big day out, and the whole time he just whinged that Hull were the headliners.
Oh,
the whole
right.
whole set, the whole
Bit of
set,
demand.
he was just whinging. All right, one thing, guys. I'm going to ask a question, and while you answer this, I'm going to be unprofessional and race to the toilet because I've got a few beers just sitting there waiting to come out.
Okay.
What have you got to say to young people that are getting into the scene and that want to start a band with vaccine?
Just do it. Practice every day. A couple of hours a day to start with.
Do what you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to do a practice and start at 2 o'clock, do that. Start at 2 o'clock. Don't arrive at 2:30.
Yep.
Yeah, commitment's one, definitely.
Don't commit.
100%.
It's a commitment to the other people. Their time is just as important as yours.
Yeah. I think too, that two-way street around about collaboration, like be prepared to contribute. In fact, insist on your right to contribute.
Yeah.
And if you are someone that's like a driving force, like you might start off as the primary songwriter, or tend to lead creatively, like you're writing arrangements or whatever. Don't feel like you're the only person that owns that stuff. Like the best songs, and I think this is how we approach it. Like everyone's got the right and the opening to contribute. And Lizzie and I might write a song and take it to rehearsal, and then it's like, great, what are we going to do with this? And then Ads and Danny straight away, like, we do this, we do that, we do that. There's no limitation on people contributing. We're just saying, mate, everyone's got a right and should have an expectation to contribute to songs and to be fearless. Don't feel like your ideas aren't as good as anyone else's. And for those who are start out as maybe the leaders, to be humble enough and not sort of head up your own ass, but you own all the songs. And I don't know about everyone else here, but I've played in bands with people that they own the creative process and they don't let anyone in. And you go, well, what's this all about? It's just not fucking collaboration.
And in a day of social anxiety, don't be afraid to meet other musicians.
Yeah.
Because you never know what sort of gold can come out. Like, I might write a funky riff or whatever, and then the way that it projects to these guys is going to be completely different to what I hear in my own head, and in turn can wind up being a fucking masterpiece in the end. So,
And don't be afraid to make mistakes too, because there's been several times where we'll bring something to the rehearsal room. We're like, "Oh, this will work." We play through it once. We're like, "That will work." Don't be afraid to, just work on things and have those mistakes, because without those, creatively, you're not going to proceed and go forward. So that's what I've heard.
Yeah, don't get a big head.
You're not, at the end of the day, it's like you're not always important.
don't be the
bigger issues in the world.
egotistical rock star that winds up, dying from sexual asphyxiation in the end, not naming names.
Oh,
Or it's just waking up in a puddle of your own vomit, or
all that
shitting
sort of
yourself
stuff.
on stage.
Oh, God.
Ads. Which one's ads? Okay, your ads. So I'm trying to find Danny.
Right.
Yeah. My producer reckons you look like Nicky Sticks.
he's got new hair.
Yeah,
Fresh
yeah,
hairstyles from
That's
yesterday.
literally from yesterday.
Yeah. He's looking good.
Day before yesterday, you looked like Avril Lavigne.
Yeah.
Tell your producer that that's much appreciated. I'm not going to take offense to that whatsoever. So.
Excellent. No, you just cracked me up then. Do you guys do any covers?
Well, we have a cover. We do 99 Red Balloons.
Excellent.
Yeah, we do that. That's the only one.
Better than Goldfingers, I hope.
Good one.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah, excellent. No, that's a great song. I actually went to a Radio Rejects gigs not long ago, and the band that was supporting him played "Love Is a Battlefield."
Oh yeah, cool.
That can be punked up, that song, and I reckon 99 Luftballons or Red Balloons or whatever.
Yeah.
That's another, I'd love to hear that. Have you guys put that out anywhere, or it's just something?
We might record it next session just for you, mate. We'll send you. But yeah, pretty
It'll be a recording.
rudimentary
rehearsal.
And you got to sing the last verse in German, I reckon. It's just the last verse.
No.
That's on you, Liz. That's in German.
Nine.
That's where Katrina was from, wasn't she? She was German, hey?
Yeah.
Nina.
Yeah, that was great. That was when we were really scared about nuclear devastation. We were getting ready for the end. The end was nigh back then.
Yeah, the whole Cold War
the whole
fever.
Cold War.
And it was a really clever song about as an anti-war song, because it just came across as such a pop song. But then when you listen to the lyrics, and it was kind of pretty scary, because it was really, the end of the song is the person looking back on the devastation caused by idiots who are more interested in power and territory than they are about human life. Yeah. So,
I dig songs that are done in different languages. Remember that San Flambeau and moi? Remember-
Plastic Patron.
French.
Do you know the words to that? It means he gives me head.
Is that the translation? Because that comes from, I can't remember the guy that originally wrote that, but then I think maybe the Damned did a cover of it, Jet Boy, Jet Girl, and an old punk band Crongen did a cover of it as well. And funny, so I was just listening to it the other day.
Yeah, the Damned did it, and the San Flambeau bit was he gives me head, and I'm just like, fuck, and I used to love this song, and then I heard the damn singing.
I feel dirty. You sang that song.
Well, I think you probably feel relatively satisfied afterwards. So,
So who did it first, them or the Radiators?
well, no, that was yeah. Well, yeah, I think that the Jet Boy Jet Girl is very homoerotic in its origin, as well. I think the Radiators was just about hoping that you can meet some chick at the pub, and yeah.
Dance, the Radiators. They came to our school dance and played, which was which was great. Yeah. I was in year 9, I think.
Blues.
They've played recently, and someone that we know supported them. I just can't remember who. Oh, really? But yeah, I'm sure it will come to me after the interview, Matt. But someone that we know that supported the radio recently.
I saw them with Mum and Dad at the local strip club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, down at the vault.
Yeah, down at the vault. No, they played, and I can't remember any of the names, but mate, singing, you could see him getting up on the drum platform so that he could see over the fridges and see the girls practicing their dances. It's just up there
with your mum.
There's a little bit of Donald Trump in everyone.
Your family sticks together.
Yeah.
Big day out, strip clubs, we go everywhere.
And it's sad when your mum goes, "Oh, these girls make me feel good about my body." It's like, oh, thanks, Mum.
I love my punk. I've been in the punk since the early 80s. But if I had to choose my favourite 5 bands to play, it'd be the Angels, the Radiators, the Divinals, and then the last 2 would be Screaming Jets and the Baby Animals.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that would just be the most amazing gig. All right, I'm even like squirming in my seat thinking about it. I want to go there. So someone come up to you and said, "Look, I want to make a movie. Can you do the score for the movie? What kind of genre of a movie would you want to do as the score?"
Horror.
Yeah.
Horror.
Yeah, I like that too.
Oh, Quentin Tarantino movie.
Oh yeah.
Like Pulp Fiction or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, I'd be up for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Or orchestral, maybe do a Baz Luhrmann film. With the soundtrack for Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. I was.
It'd be a very depressing Romeo and Juliet.
or a very fast paced.
It'd be over in 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a quick play.
That's a good 25 songs.
Anyway, thank you so much for picking up the interview, guys. I really appreciate you guys taking it up. Hey, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
It's been great. I've had a ball.
Thanks for doing it. It's really great exposure.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, and fun. And like I said, you're opening the door for me to see bands out there that I didn't know about, like The Grounds, and all of them. I've looked at most of your interviews, and I've been loving them.
Yeah, it's great for bands to just have a chance to talk about what we do. Like you don't often get a chance to do that. You don't do it a lot, even with each other. Like you talk about particular songs, but even for us, it's another chance for us to all get to know that a little bit more about each other.
It's been fun.
Together. It's just the 4 of us.
Can you edit in a rainbow going
And I don't know if you've watched the Crash and the Carpenters interview, but I actually got messages from Colorado and California saying these guys are brilliant. When are they coming over? When are they going to play America? So I really appreciate it. Thank you guys have done me the favour. Thank you so much.
Yes, if I could, I would keep hanging out with you.